All right, finally, enough of these PowerPoint slides. In this lecture, we're actually going to start playing with the program that you wanted to learn about. So we're going to look at the screen layout and project creation. Now, there's a lot of screens, knobs, and sliders in Create Studio. It can be a little intimidating at first, so I'm going to give you an orientation to everything, which is going to take a little while. Here we are on my computer screen with Create Studio on my Windows 10 taskbar. I just click on the icon and up it comes. It says that it's initiating, and then we get the initial screen. Now there's actually like two main screens in Create Studio. This is the one where it's kind of the administrative interface. So it's called Home. And what it does is it lists your projects that you have made and allows you to create new ones. So here's Home, which is this screen. Now, there are two ways to create projects. One is to create one from scratch using the Create New Project link down here, and the other is templates, where you have pre-created projects that you modify to your needs. So let's go to templates, and these are all the templates. They're really neat. You hover over them, and you get to see a little bit of the animation. Give you an idea whether you like it or not. If you do, then you say Use Template. So that's the templates. Let's go back to Home. And the next button we've already covered is Learn, and that's going to take you to the YouTube group, which has 200 videos on it. And by the way, this picture over here, jumping to the right, is the same as the Learn button, so it'll take you to the same place. And the one right down below it will take you to the Facebook group. So this is kind of a fast way to get there. Back to where we were. Over here on the right is kind of your account stuff. So this is about your account. So that's account. Fonts, I'm less than thrilled with fonts because Create Studio actually displays all the fonts that are loaded on your operating system. So this gives you an ability to add fonts just to Create Studio. Updates, interesting. It shows you all the updates so you can see what they've been doing, what they've been adding. But you can see lots of updates, lots of new features. This is a well-maintained product. And then support. We already covered this. This takes you to, it's not really a forum. It's more like a textual online manual that you can respond to. So that's it under here. We covered the top. Let's go back to Home. We have the Create New Project, which is the alternative to using templates. Just create a blank project. I can add a new folder to this list, so I can store things in folders. And then for each project, I can click this to edit the project name. I can duplicate the project. Here it deletes the project. So we can come down here to these folders I've been creating, and you hit delete and ask you really want to do that? Now, the other half of this lecture is going to be creating a project so that I can show you these screens. Now here's the Create Project screen, so I can give it a name, set a resolution. Now I always work at 180, a high definition, because if I go any lower, if I go down to 720p, it starts to get grainy, and I don't like that. It gets blurry. Now down here you can see the dimensions that it sets for that. You also have stories, which are the tall things, the stories that you put in Facebook. They're tall and rather narrow. So here you can see the width is 1080 and the height is 1920 on stories. Facebook and Instagram are square, 1000 each dimension. And then you have custom, which we already saw. When you type in here, you get custom. And then you can control the color of the background. I usually go with either black or white. So that's all the settings that you have here on this when you say Create Project. Now here's the big complex screen. It's going to take a while to get through. Over here on the left is kind of your media area. These are the resources that you're going to use in your video. And it's split into two types. Here, media, and you have studio. So you can go back and forth, and you also have the exit button. This is the way you get out of a project. You can search your media if you have a lot of it. I can go to text to speech. Here, is the media library. I think this is really smart. But they also have direct links to Pixels, which is really good for free video, and my favorite image site, free image site, Pixabay, and then free audio. So these things you can incorporate. Then you can create a folder here so you can organize your media into folders. And then with this button, you can import any media from outside. Let's show you this. When I import a media, so I double click on that, it becomes part of the media here. And now, if I want to use that, I just drag it on and I'm using the media. So let's undo that. And once again, the media, I can go to it, I can right click, and I can say delete media. So this is the media side of things. This is everything that comes from outside of Create Studio. Everything that's inside Create Studio is in the Studio tab. So here we've got scenes, characters, transitions from one scene to another, icons, backgrounds, titles, devices, all of this stuff. So these are all of the things that are built in to Create Studio. Now, so here as you scroll over things, it also shows you in this window a picture of what the thing is like. So I can come here to Supreme Fitness Girl and it shows some of the moves for Fitness Girl. That's this area over here. So it manages all of your assets, either media that you import from your computer or off the web, or things that you bring in off the Create Studio cloud. Let's move to the top here. Now, obviously, this big blank area here is where the video plays out. And on top of it, we have the ability to add text. And within this window, it's got little controls to add, to expand, to rotate. And then if I click in here, I can change the text. So it's all very easy. And once again, the undo button is over here. You have undo and you have redo. So I can undo that action that I did, and then I can redo it and re-add. Here is adding objects. So if I want to add a rectangle, I just go like that. And once again, it has the same controls. I can expand its width. These go width-wise and height-wise. These maintain the aspect ratio. And then I can spin it. By the way, if I want to delete this, notice as I add things, things are happening on the timeline. Now, we don't know about the timeline yet. We haven't made it there. But if I want to delete things, I go to the bar on the timeline and I say delete, and it's gone. Now, as you've got things on your display area here, like this text, you have two options. I can grab it like I've been doing, and I can move it around, and I can resize it, and I could spin it, all of these things. That's the arrow function here. If I grab the hand, I'm actually moving the scene around. By the way, zooming is controlled by your mouse scroll bar, your scroll wheel. This shows me that I'm at 392%. I can pick fixed percentages, like we can bring it down to 75%. And then this is my True Love Fit to Screen. So it brings you back to base. This is your camera control. Create Studio just added a feature where you can pan and zoom your camera. You can either click exit camera or you can click the camera again to get out of camera mode. So that's the things on top, and that's your display area where you can work on things. Let's move over to the far right. Without anything selected, you get your project settings. So this is everything we set up when we created the project initially. Now, if you select something, then watch. These configuration options here change. So here I select the text. Now I've got settings, motion, and advanced. Now settings are things like the font size. Okay, so you can change font size. I like to just change font size by grabbing. So that's scale. You can rotate, or you can rotate with this thing here. You can change the color of the text. It can be centered, left aligned, right aligned. And then this is really cool. I can align it to the left of the screen, the center, and the right. I can align it top, middle, and bottom. And then down here, we haven't made it here yet, but this is center. So it'll bring you to the center. Now motion is the beginning of animation. So here I can add in and out actions. So both when the thing enters and when it exits. I can just do in actions or out actions, or I can make them loop. So that's motion. And advanced allows you to add borders to text. Let's add a border to this. What the heck? Color, we'll add red. Okay, and we'll go back, and then we'll give it a width of, I don't know, say 10. So that puts a border on the text. So these are things that you can do to configure the object that's selected. And you just go and click on the different objects. Let's add another piece of text here. And you can move between one object and another. Here we can see we've got a certain size. We're at 150 scale. Here we're at 100 scale. So these change based on the object that you're selecting. And this is all the configuration options. Now we make it down to the meat. Over here on the left is undo and redo. We know about that. Here's how long our video is right now. It's 6 seconds. Here centers the text. This fits it to the canvas. And this expands it. Okay. Here we can flip horizontally. We can flip vertically. Okay, and you can set the rotation point. Now, that's all the controls here. Over here you have save to save your project, and publish, which actually generates the MP4. And then you can go back to your project settings. Now here's the timeline, and this is where all the action happens. As you add elements to the screen, they appear as these bars on the timeline. And you can see here's 0 seconds, here's 5 seconds, here's 10 seconds. So I can grab the end of the bar and I can move it to make it a certain number of seconds. I can grab the bar and move it so that the text shows up now. I can drag the slider here. This is the play bar. So it's the slider or the playhead. And then I can hit play to see what it's going to look like. And I can go back to the beginning and I can go to the end. So that's your controls here. And this is zoom. So watch the bar. As I zoom out, the bars become condensed, and I can zoom in to make precise controls. Here's your left and right slider on your timeline, and that's it. The timeline gets fairly complicated. Here's the elements over here, and we've got things like wink it out so I don't see it, lock it so I can't modify it, and then this will actually remove things from your sight on the timeline if you click this little thing. Down below, okay, there's a little arrow here. Now notice this. If I click up here on the track name, the arrow, everything condenses. Here, everything opens. Or I can do them individually by clicking the arrows next to the element. And then here we add animations, and this just gets really big. I can move the position, I can rotate things, I can change and shift the color of things. That's animation. And then I can add text effects like typewriter or doodle. Now if I watch the doodle, so it draws it for me. That's one of the options for text that we're going to be looking at. So that's it. That is your look at the screen layouts. Now we can go save, and once we save, then we can exit, and back here we now have this new project. And if I want to go back into it, I just click on it and it comes back up again. Let's exit, and I'm going to come here and change the name. There we go to class project. And once we're done, to exit the program, just hit the X in the upper right hand corner, and you now know the screen layout for Create Studio. In the next lecture, we're going to look at inserting and manipulating characters.